People of Earth, comic book community, welcome back to the Flash by Night channel, and welcome back to Catching Up with the Comics. Now, I want to do something special with Catching Up with the Comics today, because in a couple of weeks, I believe, issue number 750 of Thor is coming out, and I wanted to take this time to catch people up on the God of Hammer story that we just wrapped up. I know a lot of people were curious and wondering about the God of Hammers. Who is this lady? What is this beast? Why is the God of Hammers happening? And so I wanted to catch up on a couple of things and go through a couple of things that I kind of know from a little bit of my history reading comics. I don't have a whole lot of history, but I know a little something about a little something. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we are going to jump into The Mighty Thor, issue number 12 from Jason Aaron. The Flash. What does this have to do with anything? I'm going to tell you. So, as we're going through this God of Hammer story, people wonder, who is this God of Hammers? Who is this lady? There's a female form coming out of Thor's hammer, and I am going to go ahead and tell you who that is. So in issue number 12 of The Mighty Thor from Jason Aaron, we got the background on this space storm, which made space sharks, yes, space sharks, kind of run because they knew what was happening to them. And that was the storm basically called the God Tempest, the mother of thunder. And she was basically ravaging the universe. And then she runs up on Odin. Now, I'm going to show you this art, but I don't think you can really get a grasp on it from the camera. I think if you ever run into issue number 12, you should pick it up just to flip through it and see this art. But basically, we have Odin and this mother storm, this God Tempest, basically having it out. And she's having a back and forth with Odin. They kind of fight to a standstill. And then she basically, from what they tell us here, she basically tires out. And that's when Odin defeats this storm. Now, in the past, Odin basically help the dwarves that form their weapons, help them fight back the trolls. In exchange, the trolls gave Odin a piece of Uru metal, a little nugget of Uru metal. Odin managed to put this storm inside of that Uru metal, and then asked the trolls, not the trolls, the dwarves, to basically take that Uru metal and make, yep, you guessed it, a hammer. And so that is when Mjolnir was born. Mjolnir was shaped by the dwarves with this magical storm inside of it. With this magical storm that is as powerful as Odin himself is inside of this hammer. And so in order to basically stop the hammer from causing destruction, because the hammer goes wild and gets loose in Asgard, and it tears stuff up even then, Odin puts the enchantment on the hammer. You know the enchantment we're talking about. He puts the magic on the hammer and makes it impossible for anybody unworthy to lift. So, if you're following me, there is and has been a storm, a God Tempest, as they call it. This storm inside of Mjolnir that is basically as strong as Odin, with the magical enchantments on it to make sure that the storm cannot ravage anything inside of his hammer. Eventually, the storm kind of dies, but the power remains, and then Thor becomes worthy, and the story we all know. That's great. So now Thor is worthy of this hammer with the power of this storm. But Flash, that explains the woman and the female figure. What's this other thing that we see with her when we finally get the reveal of the full God of Hammers? I'm glad you asked that question. So, for that, we need to dig into Thor, Mighty Thor, issue number 25. Now, in 1968, I believe it was, there was a creature created that was basically the billion souls angry at Odin. I think Odin may have destroyed their planet or whatever, but there are a billion souls. Let's add this up. It's not 1 billion, it's not 10 billion, it's not 100 billion. It's a billion angry souls inside one creature that was mad at Odin. They call this creature the Man God. And he's battled Odin and battled Thor to a standstill a couple of times in history. But we get the return of the Man God in Mighty Thor, the death of Jane Foster, basically. And inside of this book, we're gonna skip to 705 because I don't want to bore you with the whole ordeal with Man God. But inside of this book, we find out that the solution that Jane Foster Thor, Odin's son Thor, and Odin have, because the Man God is just too powerful to take down by himself, is that we're going to take this chain, I believe that went around Fenris, the Fenris wolf. I believe that's where the chain comes from. We're going to take that and we're going to wrap it around Mjolnir. And then we're going to wrap it around the Man God, and we are going to throw it into the sun. Now, I'm sure we have a couple of bakers, a couple of people that are handy in the kitchen. You know, if you take one ingredient, 2 ingredients or more, you know, mix the right amount in, stir it up really good, put it in the oven on the right temperature for the right amount of time, and you get a nice cake, right? So we're going to take this God Tempest storm that hates Odin. We're going to take this billion soul of monster that hates Odin. We're going to put it in the hottest oven in the universe called the sun, and we're going to throw them up there because that's all we can do with them, and they're going to sit there and bake for an unspecified amount of time. And that is how you get the mixture of the God Tempest and the Man God inside of Mjolnir as the God of Hammers. But Flash, what do you mean God of Hammers story? Where does it come from? How does it end? Tell us about it. Okay, so this is what happens. Throughout the whole Donny Cates run, I think we're up to issue number 24 now, we've been having Thor, even though he's fought the Black Widow, even though he's fought a twisted version of Donald Blake, all throughout Thor's adventures, this hammer has been getting heavier. And eventually, the hammer leaves. The hammer up and disappears. Should be impossible because nobody can lift the hammer except Thor. But the hammer is gone and Thor doesn't have it. And so we look far and wide, and throughout a couple of mini adventures and a couple of side stories, including Angela, Thor's sister, kind of coming back into the picture, we find out that Mjolnir has been going from place to place, from Nidavellir to Broxton, Oklahoma, to a couple of other realms, and has been leaving destruction in its wake everywhere. Mjolnir is doing it itself. And then we find out what is up with Mjolnir, why Mjolnir is doing it, or how Mjolnir is doing it, as Thor tries to take Mjolnir on and is not having a good go of it. It's kind of terrible. It's kind of scary actually. And basically Thor and Odin try to fight it. It doesn't go so well. Even going as far as shattering Thor's forearm, which is crazy. But basically, Mjolnir is fighting back, has a mind of its own. Um, they throw it to this place called the furthest place from here. Lady Sif is able to transport it to the furthest place from here. It finds its way back to Thor and back to Odin from the furthest place from here. Whatever kind of trajectory it has, it clips Odin right in the back. And pretty much starts Odin's downfall. You find out throughout this story that Odin is going to die from that fatal blow. And what is up with Mjolnir? Why? Because we have a mixture of Mangog and the God Tempest, the storm inside of the hammer, mixed up in that, basically that hate cake. In issue number 22, we kind of get this fight where a lot of Thor's friends from Earth come to try and help him take down Mjolnir. As you can guess, it didn't go very well for them. Thor tried to be resourceful, use some other means that he knows to try and take the hammer down, but it staved off the hammer, but it didn't quite work. This is actually what works and where we are going with Odin dying. Odin has decided that if we're going to take down the hammer, that he is going to have to give over the Odin force to Thor. Now I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about the Odin force, so I can't tell you exactly what the Odin force is, but I assume it's like probably the most powerful thing in Asgardian history, and it's kind of the over the top that Thor is going to need if he's ever going to stop this hammer mixed in with this storm, mixed in with the man god. And then we get to issue number 23, which is the finale to the God of Hammer story. And you see Thor kind of looking all bad and ready to go on the cover, and that is because Thor has now been imbued with the Odin force. And we kind of get the collision we've been looking for, and it's basically a good old-fashioned fight between the God of Hammers, this mixture of Mangog and Mjolnir, and this Mother Storm, and Thor with the Odin force. It's basically a big throwdown, really good, until Thor gets the upper hand, basically, and shuts it all down. Meanwhile, we can see what happens to the hammer. And then he kind of wakes up a few days later in the aftermath of it all, trying to take everything in, hoping to try and fix everything with the realms. And his sister comes in and she brings him a reforged hammer, which is pretty cool in itself. And that's how we kind of end the God of Hammer story, is that Thor gets the Odin force and basically takes down this newly created God of Hammers, which was a really interesting concept. I don't think a lot of people kind of gravitated to it like I did, because I don't know if they knew about the two already existing entities that came together for this God of Hammer storyline. But I really did enjoy it. The only thing that we have to worry about now is that Odin is dead. Or is he? Who knows? All I know is Thor has the Odin force, and he just might need it, because you never know when Black Winter is going to come back. So that was Catching Up with the Comics. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you saw something you liked. I hope I shed a little bit of light on the God of Hammer storyline maybe got people interested in it. Maybe you want to catch up with Thor as we go into the issue number 750. If you did enjoy yourself, go ahead, hit that like button. And if you want to keep up with me whenever I'm catching up with the comics, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Of course, feel free to leave comments. Tell me what you thought about the story. Tell me if you kept up with it. If you knew about Man God or about the storm inside of Mjolnir. Let me know what you thought about everything. But as we always do at this time, love yourself, love others, and I